Hey, it's Shaves, and welcome to another edition of AniTube Digest, where we go over the best and not so best anime YouTube videos to come out this week from the 12th of July to the 18th of July. You know, first for this videos that that wasn't English. First for some videos that I thought was not good. Again, that still wasn't English. Come on, Shapes. Let's get to the English. Let's do proper. This first one actually got directed my way. It's like, did you see this? It's kind of whack, you know. And it's from Totally Not Mark, The Disturbing Truth Behind Death Note Complete Series Review. I wouldn't have touched this video, to be honest with you. Wasn't really into looking at a Death Note just kind of a review video about Death Note. I'm good, you know. It's not like I'm avoiding it or anything. I'm bored by it, I guess. It's also, if it's not from a creator that I'm particularly excited about. I like Mark a lot, but he talks about a lot of popular stuff. And in the stuff that I've watched from him, I think I prefer his non-review videos than I do his this stuff. You know what I mean? It's okay. A lot of it just kind of goes over my head, and he's not the easiest to follow sometimes, and not the most compelling in terms of just his writing or the things that they're showing on screen. But yeah, I did check this one out because they were just this. He's saying some weird things, particularly at the beginning, where he makes this insinuation, or just kind of states it as fact, pretty much, that it's a very popular rumor that the author of Death Note, who is anonymous, it's a pen name, and we don't know who that is. It's on the English Wikipedia and the Japanese Wikipedia that it's that popular that this is floated around, that it's the former author of Lucky Man. I forgot his name, but he's I guess a washed up gag mangaka. And people are saying that's the guy that's supposed to be the pen name here, and I think they're floating that from Bakuman, because I'm pretty sure people are making the comparisons because it's the same author and artist of Death Note writing this manga about a artist and author publishing manga in a Shonen Jump type thing. I haven't seen Bakuman yet personally. But I do remember, seeing one episode just kind of floating, we watched it in my club or something, and I guess their dad or someone similar had a Lucky Man type manga, looked very much like Lucky Man, and that. I think that's the comparison. That's who they're trying to pin as that this is the guy, and Mark is kind of just floating this as fact, and not really. He says it at the beginning. He's one popular theory, blah blah blah, but really saying that this is definitely the case, and making the insinuation that Death Note is an industry plant, just kind of a planned item. And the thing is, I can't really criticize one way or the other about this because it doesn't go anywhere. He just kind of brings this idea up and then very suddenly drops it for something else, and then drops that thing for another thing. It just it feels like they're going, there's this disturbing truth behind Death Note. It doesn't feel like one particular thing. I think the best thing that they got, and the kind of okay, that must be it, is tying this back to the Lost Generation. And of course, you're going to talk about the sarin gas attacks and the cult that was behind it, and just kind of bringing that forward, but not and I don't know. It didn't click for me, I guess. It was just stuff that was I feel like I've heard this before, but I also I don't feel it's that substantive or researched. And I didn't like two things with there's few times where they're Obata has said that Can you show the quote, please? Can you please just give the actual source for that and not just say it, you know, or maybe put it in the description but you don't have any sources in the description, you know. It's sort of just you sound like you've done this research and you've looked into I like the analysis about the one shot and how different it is. But there was stuff that just didn't feel, a lot of stuff that felt didn't go anywhere, you know? And you're just kind of saying it for the sake of it, I guess. And the other thing that really bothered me with this video was with the editing, where you're using the anime a lot, for a lot of it. And that's fine. That's kind of what I was expecting. And it's what a lot of people are used to about Death Note. But then you make mention of this, that most people are familiar with this Death Note thing. It's like, I should probably talk about the anime adaptation directed by Tetsuo Araki, because it's not very accurate. It's not very faithful to the manga or whatever in terms of its presentation and stuff. But you've been using the anime for almost your entire video. It was just kind of a whiplash for me. I'm like, wait, what? You have problems with it, but why haven't you been using the manga? If that's like the source that you think is the kind of the be all end all, why is it edited in this way? That like sometimes you show the manga, but in kind of like the limited fashion that like kind of looks nice in places, but would be arduous to make into a whole 45-minute video if it's mostly the manga. And it's the turnaround sort of thing. So you're just gonna go with the anime for now. But then you're contradicting yourself. You know what I mean? With the writing and what's being presented here. It was just like, wait, what? That was just kind of frustrating to me. Not bad points, although I think some people could probably disagree with your interpretation with the anime painting Light as a sympathetic villain. Yeah, I mean, I can kind of see that, but I guess it's like, I'm not trying. It's weird. It's a sticky situation, and that's why he obviously goes into the like, is Light a bad guy kind of thing, and is unequivocally yes type of thing, and it's like, okay, again, and again. It's, I don't know, it just, whatever, man. It didn't feel that fresh to me, and that's why I wouldn't have checked out this video to begin with, but then, had people wanting to check it out, and it got me curious, and I did want to talk about it mainly for that, like, piece of not misinformation, but just like, it's a rumor, and you don't make that emphasized, but like, it doesn't matter that you didn't emphasize it because you don't really do anything with it anyway, so I was like, well, who cares? And then I just went, eh. But I just wanted to, I felt the need to talk about it though. But yeah, just I kind of just felt kind of, all right, that was a video, I guess, about it. Yeah, oh well. And the other one I wanted to mention, like, it's really not all bad, but I just wanted to kind of give it to him. It's like, this pissed me off for no fucking end. More than Miss Hokusai, why you should watch Keiichi Hara movies from AnimeNewsNetwork. Look, I'm not a fucking Keiichi Hara stan. I haven't even seen any of his, like, original movies. I have seen Miss Hokusai, but I haven't seen Kappa, I haven't seen Colorful, I haven't seen Birthday Wonderland. But I have also seen Crayon Shin-chan movie 9, Adult Empire Strikes Back, which is one of the best anime movies I've ever seen. And they just completely ignore it. They don't talk about any of his Crayon Shin-chan movies. Like, I get kind of 9 and 10 are kind of the ones that, like, the 10th one is the one that, I forget the name, like Warring States or something. That's the one that actually got, like, awards and recognition and stuff, and was able to get him out of the, being able to work on those, because yes, he's voiced about wanting to tell more mature adult stories, but like, he gives full credit to Shin-chan. He wasn't like frustrated or disillusioned by it from the few interviews that, like, because like at the very beginning of this video, like before, like I clicked on it and I'm just like, okay, if they don't do anything with Crayon Shin-chan or talk about how good movie 9 is or something, it's a non-starter for me. This is a non-starter. you need to see that 9th movie. You don't even have to see I have not seen any other Crayon Shin-chan movies. Accented Cinema has an amazing video on it and got me really convinced to watch it. And it was one of those few times where a YouTube video actually did get me to watch the media, like, at least in a long time. And I group watched it with a friend, and it was phenomenal. I can't believe it. But like, I started the video, and like a minute in, they're like, yeah, he was frustrated and didn't want to, and they kind of brushed it aside. And all they're going to talk about is kind of in order his release. He released Kappa, and then Colorful, and then Miss Hokusai, and then Birthday Wonderland. And each one, they kind of go through it. It's just kind of a review of the movie. And even talking about just general, like, should kids see it, and like, it's available like here and stuff like that. It felt like very placid reviews of each of these movies, which is fine. I probably wouldn't have talked about it otherwise. It's just kind of like, fine, whatever. But like, that omission was so frustrating. And And like I was kind of expecting maybe they cite some interviews, because I literally type in, but like a minute into the was like he was dissatisfied with working on kids movies and wanted something more mature. And I'm like, okay, where does he say that? Let me find a Keiichi Hara interview. I get like 10. I got a ton actually, because like Miss Hokusai kind of was a big hit for him. And so there's a ton of and I control F Shin-chan, or any of these movies, like any of them going to talk about Shin-chan. Very few of them do. But the ones that did give credit to the fact that, like, you know, he started in that, and that was where he entered with Doraemon and Esper Mami and Shin-chan, and he directs those 8 movies, and then the 9th one he's mentioning how like it was kind of a risk, and it's not really Shin-chan, but it still is, and so he was pushing the envelope a little bit, and it was kind of a risk for him to do that, and the producers didn't want it to go that way. There's interviews of them talking about that, and yet it worked out, and it actually has a very broad appeal. And there's a video interview where he talks about how his movies are able to have a broad appeal because he not grew up basically, but like his career started in children's media, so he was able to have that basis, and yet he wanted to do the adult stuff, so his movies have the broadest possible appeal. That's really interesting, and it wouldn't have been possible without that grounded understanding that basis and not just dismissing it, you know, like. And so I just was just like tearing my, there's like, now I just really want to make a fucking Keiichi Hara video, because I don't want to just review I don't want to just see reviews of these movies. I can kind of get that anywhere. When you say, why should you watch Keiichi Hara movies, I want to hear about Keiichi Hara as a director. What does he do specifically? Not just the plot and kind of what happens in it, right? Or the subject matter. Oh, this one deals in prostitution. Okay, how does he depict that? You know, what are some interesting choices he does as a director? You know, that's what I want. God, because he's incredibly talented. Again, Hokusai, it was okay. I wasn't really that, engaged with it personally. I think I might like it more now that I'm a fan of his after seeing this fucking Shin-chan movie. Oh my God. Please watch Adult Empire Strikes Back, the 9th one. It's phenomenal. Anyway, but yeah, like that was just not a fan. Anyway, otherwise pretty harmless, but I had to give it to him. All right, I got another request video. I'm happy. These are the vids are getting request videos again. I'm very, very excited about that. It's from APLattanzi. I think it's his most popular. It's a very well viewed video. Akira, the 24 frames per second myth. And I could have sworn like I had heard of this video or like kind of encountered it or something. Yeah, it is easily his, like the vid that kind of blew up. Like I have that vid for Berserkers Unadaptable, that kind of thing. Well deserved though. It's a great video. And I'm so happy you're requesting it, Doji. If I didn't mention it earlier, sorry editing me. But like it is, I could have sworn it was from another channel or something that was going over like breaking down a particular scene, and I thought it was this video, but it's not. And he's kind of he is talking about Akira, but he's using it to kind of broadly explain this idea of this 24 frames per second thing, and how wide of a market animation really is. Like there's all these other French films and Russian, it's a much broader thing than to just kind of be like, oh, Disney couldn't do that. He's kind of just giving it to these other creators, like Dorkly and Beyond Ghibli actually does a fair amount. I don't know if Joe's seen this video or not. He probably has. But yeah, I really like the points here, and the mechanism to show what was done with 3 frames, 2 frames, 1 frame, by having like the counter in the corner. And yeah, you absolutely could have figured that out, that most of this film, it's not that all of this film was done on ones. It's also the thing with like how many drawings it had. Like Yeah, a lot of anime and a lot of animated films in general have a lot of drawings, and that's not like a big thing to brag about, really. I think that's an interesting point. It's like you need to have the wider frame of reference. Like you make it sound like it's a big deal that Akira has this many unique pictures, but you think about the other series that are out there, or anime, or movies, or even from Disney. I really like the Fantasia example that Lattanzi gives here. Yeah, I'm sorry I don't have too much specifics. It's just like I think every single point makes a lot of sense and a big difference. It gave me the similar vibes of Noodles. If it is fucking, I forget the fucking guy's name. I was right, Noodle. Yeah, like that video, which is at 10 million views now. Oh my god. I think he probably ended he properly squashed it, hopefully. Oh my god. But yeah, like, and Lattanzi talking about like the 60 FPS thing, and it's like they think it's the be all end all, and kind of bastardizing the animation is this limited thing, and it's a lot about the drawings, and there's other aspects about it. He was like, going back to Akira, like I was surprised at how well colored it, like the color design is incredible. The integration of the characters within the space is really great, and there's a lot of other aspects to the presentation of Akira besides how many frames it has and whether it's done on 2s or 1s or not. And he actually gives a couple examples in Akira that are, in his opinion, kind of poor examples of frame choices. Like, this was done on 1s and probably wasn't a good idea to do on 1s because it looks very mechanical, and this is why you don't want to do anything on 1s, because you get something kind of like Steamboat Willie, or and even the most kind of well celebrated Thief and the Cobbler doesn't do all on 1s, because they're smart, because that's like part of animation. Animation 101 basically. So insightful, so cutting, but like not like hostile. That was also really nice about it, that he's just like not super passionate but not like cynical or anything. It really was very straight shooting and comfy, and he makes great videos, man. He's also just has incredible variety to him. He just makes freaking anything. Love his stuff. Yeah, thank you so much for requesting that. Again, too much to say about it, hopefully, but yeah, I mean, anything I would say here, it's just going to be kind of verbatim from that video, and that's how it's like speaking nothing but facts. You know what I mean? It's hard to do commentary on such a good video in that regard. Hell yeah. Okay, now for some videos I thought were decent, pretty good. I went a far fact from the mic there because I was afraid of popping it. I may have popped it anyway. It's fine. But this one I wanted to mention this vizmedia video. They also did one with like interviewing Kubo, and that was very insightful and exciting about the 1,000-Year Blood War coming out. But this is the seiyuu and dub actor of Ichigo for and kind of interacting. Not really. The thrust of the video is like how long it's been, and they kind of recreate some of their performances, and they read some lines, like 4 or 5 lines throughout the anime. And the kind of thing that's weird, and I love the concept of this, because like having a back and forth in relationship with the the seiyuu and the dub, it's a great synergy, and that's like something that's nice to see, because the subject is always very polarizing, and everyone in the comments was really nice. It's like, this is one of the few anime that I like either one, the Japanese or the English, and then like that's awesome. The thing that kind of made this weird and not like the best kind of thing, but it was that the Japanese seiyuu, both of them have a great on-screen presence, and like able to, you can tell that they've made a lot of public appearances, and they're very professional. And there's certain probably cultural differences, perhaps, or like expectations with a seiyuu versus an English voice actor, perhaps, that was showcased here. I don't know. I couldn't tell precisely if the seiyuu was ad-libbing or if this was scripted or not. Whereas Johnny on Bosch, very scripted, very like professional, straight shooting and everything. But then like the seiyuu had a lot of banter and a lot of interesting dialogue with Johnny on Bosch, and he's like, "Hey, Johnny, and let's, remember when we met at this place and we did this thing?" And it's like, "Oh, your hair, last time we met, your hair was blonde, and oh, you're 46 now," and things, that sort of communication was really awesome, and it wasn't reciprocated whatsoever. Like, I don't know how this video was made, but it wasn't it wasn't like a Zoom call or something, to say he was giving all this really great dialogue and everything on top of like giving his performance as Ichigo, and even like when Johnny would perform the lines after the Seiyu would, he would react to what Johnny did and be like, "Oh yeah, and you have that I remember when you said you wanted to play him a little more cool, whereas I play him with a lot more energy, and like that's interesting." And he's actually giving feedback in like a back and forth, except there's no back and forth. Like Johnny doesn't, like, they don't have any clip of Johnny saying anything. All he has is his introduction, and then he, like, the Seiyu is the one, like, "This is from episode 3, all right," and then has like the picture of Ichigo of when he says this line, and he says the line, and then it cuts. It's like, "All right, Johnny, those," he sends it over to Johnny Abosh, and then he performs the line, no picture, nothing else, and it's a line. It's good. It's interesting. It's great to hear that. And then it comes back to the Seiyu, and he's like, "Oh wow," and it's like, what happened? It's weird. It was just. I'm sorry if I'm belaboring this point, but that was just something that kind of was a jarring experience, but kind of interesting still. Like, I'm happy this exists, sort of deal. I'm not like wholly discouraged or disheartened that it came out this way or something, but like, interesting that that's the play. Okay, yeah. But yeah, I thought it was really cool. Very neat. I think this is the first time I'm talking about Let's Ask Shogo, your Japanese friend in Kyoto. Nice. And this is a video, "What if Naruto was from Kansai? Famous anime quotes in Kansai, Hiroshima, and Fukuoka dialects." Dang. And, I'm not familiar all that much with these specific dialects. I know, like, the Osaka one, but, like, I think it's the Osaka one. Yeah, and I'm sorry. No, but like, I really like how professional the presentation is, and his on-screen presence, as well as his other two guests, including his wife, on screen and everything. And they seem to be really close friends. And before they get into like the anime stuff, they have a couple like general Japanese quotes, like very like "Oh, is this seat taken?" and stuff like that, to give a couple examples before they go into the anime stuff. And they go so they give the regular line kind of in traditional Japanese, and then each one of them represents kind of like, here's how I would say that line in a Kansai dialect. And they would have the English and the Japanese at the top, and everyone was speaking English and everything. But and it had like a lot of interesting nuance to it. A lot of it just kind of didn't. It kind of went over my head, a lot of it, where I'm not like, I took Japanese in college like 2 years, and so I'm very newbie to it, but like it was really interesting hearing some of the differences and how they sound and stuff, and there's patterns to each of them. If like there's often they're using the to type of thing in the Fukuoka, is it the Fukuoka? Yeah, the Fukuoka dialect, stuff like that. It's like, oh wow. So it was just like it was really cool seeing people talk so like very minutia and like specific about these things that you would completely not catch if you're an English speaker only type of thing. And it was very fascinating. That's why I can't give it like in a best type of thing, only because a lot of it was just like, okay, and it's a long video, all things considered. Like, it doesn't really move all that fast, and I like them. I think it's fine because they're able to take their time. They laugh at a lot of, they have a good amount of banter with each other, and they're reacting to each other's things. It's not very mechanical, which I really like. It's very casual and fun, and so that makes it for an easy listen and kind of a casual, like a passive watch. But it's not something I'm like arrested by. Like that's fine, it's just kind of an interesting, fun little thing. But it wasn't like as like sharp or like informative or like really gut busting entertaining or anything like that. But like that's fine. Not every video needs to do that. Yeah, but that's I really like. I thought it was very fascinating, and the only reason like I had him on my radar at all was kind of a coincidence. Like kind of like recommended in my YouTube feed of his reaction to Gaijin Goomba's video on why you shouldn't visit Japan at the moment. And I thought he had a lot of very interesting insight, and Goomba obviously had a good insight. He's agreeing with a lot of it, and giving further stuff. And it was like, this is a good channel, really good channel. But then I checked and this came out like the other day, so I was like, yeah, all right, let's check it. It's anime related. He does from just kind of a brief scroll of his videos, he doesn't talk about anime all that much. It's more of just a Japanese cultural type of channel. But I really liked his stuff, and I really liked this video. It was good. And that's it for the decent videos. Actually, there's only two of them. What I thought were the best videos of the week, when I was just like, I like it a lot. It's a good time. And this first was from Jackisboy. Why you can't get into One Piece? Thank you. I was actually, when you were talking about it and making this video, you're saying you were gonna talk to a lot of people about it. So I was actually expecting a more community thing, but it does have more of your classic, very pointed, angry. Like, you're very angry, and you're communicating that really well, but like in a way that doesn't feel miserable. I guess it's more very righteous anger, but maybe it's only righteous anger because I happen to agree with pretty much everything you said that I've communicated on Piss Pirates and stuff. But even some of the stuff that we talked about in that podcast didn't make it into this video, which was exciting because it wasn't predictable for me. I didn't really know where it was going, and I loved the personal story you gave that was animated, I guess, by Cal. I'm gonna guess Cal. It looked like his style. I'm so sorry if it was somebody else. I'm gonna look right now. It was Cal. Ha 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 ha. And then filming by Core. Hell yeah. The being on camera at the end was like a really great touch. Like really great. Like, and I could tell that you were really happy. You know, just like you had this like this really great smile. You know, and you're just like really into it. I just happened. It's just a weird thing to notice. I get, but I just really liked it. Yeah, it was really cool. It's hard to like. Oh, man, it is kind of like a lot of your other stuff, but then it was those extra touches where I'm like, yeah, he knows what the fuck he's doing, man. Let's fucking go, and helping with collaborating with other people and stuff. And yeah, that just like being in the community that long, I think you were able to really get that idea of like, oh, there's a self-conscious factor, there's a caveat that everyone puts on it, and that's what's being people turning off on it. And like, yeah, like they're really bad at recommending One Piece. I'm like, thank you, yes. Yeah, I just agree with everything said here, and that's about it. Yeah. Really great video. Hell yeah. Internet Pitstop with the Berserk soundtrack is also a masterpiece. The sound of Berserk. And it is funny, like he mentions like in the beginning he watches a lot of YouTube videos, and then because I'm a narcissist. I'm a bit of a narcissist, where like he had like this list of like videos he I guess liked or had like a list of YouTube videos, of anime YouTube videos, and I literally was going like frame by frame looking at all those different videos in that list to see if any of my videos would come up, because I've covered this subject before, and like I spent like an unnecessary amount of time doing that, and then like shortly afterwards he's like, there are other people who've talked about this, and he just shows a clip from my video, from the GOTS video. I'm like, oh, there, okay, thank you, cool, that's really cool. But yeah, fair. And this is instead of one track or whatever, or just kind of an overall soundtrack type of thing. He really is going through every single track of the Berserk soundtrack. Oh, 1 second. I got it on vinyl too, baby. I don't sleep with it every night, but you know, but he does go over every single track, you know. Besides, you know, he also includes Forces, which is not on this particular version of the vinyl. I think they released a different version later that did have Forces on it, It's fine. It has Guts on it. It's fine. But let me put this back. But yeah, he goes over every single track kind of individually and describes their vibe and kind of what they're used for and things like that. And it's the kind of like analysis I've wanted to see for a soundtrack for sure, because it's very holistic and yeah, I just think it's a good idea, you know. I will say, I'll point. I was like happy you mentioned like kind of demonstrate my video or kind of show it a little bit, and then like using the same thing I had in the beginning of my Guts video with the cutting out the word of each track and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, yeah, you just kind of like, I don't want to like assume anything, or you know, I don't want to be presumptuous. But it does seem like you saw my video on Guts and was like, what if that, but for every track, and kind of talking more personal experience and like your description of Guts was fantastic, and your like reactions to it and your edits, of course, are really, really funny. And the fit was on point. And I did something stupid earlier, so I cut something. But I really always enjoy watching your videos. There's a structure in terms of going track by track. But there's like, I think the first with Baylet, you go into that like what scenes are they used in, and then that kind of gets dropped a little ways in for the other tracks. There's sort of an inconsistency there. I like that you go through the lyrics of Forces, and that kind of gives it its own unique type of thing. And it is kind of the only track that has lyrics anyway. So I get it, you know. But I don't know. It was a bit rambly, a bit like and then, and doesn't have like the compartmentalization that a longer video like this I think could benefit from, I guess. But you know, I could say that about a lot of videos, and you know, yeah, this is what it is. No, I did really enjoy it. It's always a humorous romp. It's always a good time. The edits are always really fun. Again, I'm being repetitive, yeah. But like, yeah, I just really enjoyed the video. Really good time. And finally, I don't know if I said it in a second ago. My video, it's called Guts Theme, but it's an analysis video. But that's a rename. It was originally called Guts, with the straight line of the sound of Berserk. I actually also called it that, which is really, I don't know. I was just like, yep, yeah, I had the same idea. No, but like, you know, I was flattered that you actually show the video there, the thing that I had there, and I was happy to see the elaboration in that regard. Because yeah, you're right. Earth is a very underrated track, and such. You know, each of the tracks really deserve to be talked about. Also, you're talking about Susumu Hirasawa. Like, there's like, oh, you better talk about Susumu Hirasawa if you're going to do this. And he's like, well, we can't talk about it without Susumu. I was like, yeah. And that was fantastic. Yeah, it was great. It was a really great job. Yeah, this is a very good Kenny Lauderdale video. Locating lost anime, a banger thumb. Hope it does very well. I bet it will. And I really like the style he's putting in here. I don't know if this was the case in his other videos or not, but he exported this video in 4:3. He's probably done this before, but like this was noticeable in this one. And the editing in especially the first third, I think, was just like, he was kicking ass. He was like doing a lot of cutouts and a lot of custom stuff and reaction images and things. There's probably been prior videos of his where he's kind of had this sort of thing, but he was really firing on all cylinders here. He really felt like came roaring back type of thing. Really great stuff. And of course he's plugging Kaneko Video, formerly Femboy Films, you know, of course. And all the stuff that you know we've been in tune with, and I've talked about this sort of thing in a video of my own as well. Although when he said it's like, it's not Doomsday, it's Domesday. I'm like, shit, did I call it Doomsday? I think I called it Doomsday. Fuck. But like I remember it's not Doomsday, it's Domesday. Did I call it Doomsday? Fuck. And I don't want to look. I actually don't want to look at my my old video to find out. I'm dreading it. I'm like, shit, did I call it that? But yeah, Domesday. specifically, and he goes into like more specific detail. Although, like, I agree with what person who I'm not gonna subtweet them or whatever, but I was talking about this video with somebody else, and they're like, he could have done without the plot summary stuff, and would have been nice to have some quotes from actual people who are in this. It's like he's probably talked to Kaneko Video, and I was able to have conversations and kind of interview them almost. I think that would have lent itself more. But I get he probably talked to them specifically and then just worded it in his own way in his video. He came off very informed and been in this space for a long time and has the kind of a bit of a cynical edge in that way of like, oh yeah, people are just gonna hoard it for themselves and that sort of thing. And he really feels like energized and on top of his game in that way. Yeah, it was a really highlight video for him. If I could call it almost like a culmination of a lot of his other stuff that he's been talking about too. I do agree with that. Like, I think it spent a lot of time on that one almost lost media thing. It was like from the 60s, like a medieval looking show. I forget the name of it. He said it multiple times, but I don't remember the name for the life of me. But like he spent a lot of time on that one and describing it and like the plot and stuff and what it's like watching the show. And it's like, okay, is it about this or is it about the lost anime thing? And it's not until like the second half does he really get into that other stuff. And in that point, it ends up being very like, and then, oh, this is other thing, and then this is other thing, and this is other thing. It's okay. But like, again, I'm most enamored by his energy and his depth of knowledge, wide variety of knowledge and stuff. Still injecting a lot of humor. Like, look at this crazy thing. Do you know they had to freaking, oh my god, the pineapple is, they had to render this 4 hours per frame or whatever. Things like that. There's a lot of variety here. And there's a lot of good things to take away from it, I guess. I don't know if that came off as a general statement, but yeah, it's good. I liked it. Yeah. Again, like I think he kicked a lot of ass. Actually, I think this video was really great. Real highlight for him. Well, here it is. The Super Eyepatch Wolf video. Nearly 2 hours again. Influencer courses are garbage. The dark side of content creation. And this is again a kind of a culmination of a lot of his previous videos and stuff. Because it's in that dark side of martial arts, dark side of psychics. But then it's also crashing into his personal experience because he's also a YouTuber and social media influencer as much as whatever, and he's being a lot more introspective. It also had the vibes coming right off of that Berserk video because he has, just like the Berserk video, he has a part 1 and a part 2 of like, here's the subject, here's the critical, the crucial thing I'm talking about and dissecting, and then part 2 is the aftermath. What do we do about it? How do I feel about it personally? And I'm sorry I didn't take any notes on this one. I think I definitely could have, and like it would have a lot of great amen and cool things to say about it. But I watched it yesterday because I was just like, there's a lot of other videos, and I'm exhausted from other things. And edit this other thing. I can't watch this video tomorrow. Fitting all of this plus it's 3:30 now, and I would have watched it for another 2 hours plus taking notes. I just didn't want to do the time sync for this one. I just wanted to enjoy it personally, especially because like I'm a YouTuber, I relate to this sort of thing, and so I wanted to kind of take it from that personal thing, that perspective, I guess. And yeah, I think he kind of does similar things with his previous 2 hour plus videos, where there's some kind of questionable stuff, like touchy subject stuff, especially like, kind of skewering some of these people of like, if they work, why don't they work? And kind of view shaming, subscriber shaming some of these people. And it's like, ooh, it's really scathing in places, But it had to do it. And he's like, God, I don't want to do that again. I get that. It took a lot out of him. I can only imagine. I wouldn't, especially from his position of like from 1.4 million subscribers, coming from there. But like his personal of like his journey of and kind of describing what it's like to be a YouTuber and like that animation that he had along with it was all facts, all amen to that. With the Andrew and things like that. But I also really respected and admired the personal accounts that he gave from other YouTubers, giving their sub counts and their channel name and stuff, and just them describing their experiences with using YouTube as a platform, and making content in this way. And it was really great to see really small creators like Fukuchi Twins on it. Like I'm like that's awesome. And like, but I also noticed that like a lot of the bigger YouTubers he was able to get were like the bread tubers, you know, like H Bomber Guy, Jenny, Folding Ideas, people, Big Joel, you know, stuff like that. And like, oh, huh, interesting. And the only other anime YouTubers he got was like was Mother's Basement, but I there are probably other ones, but. Yeah, whatever. Oh, he mentioned Rustage. He gave one thing of Rustage. Like, Rustage, what do you think of the top 10? It's like, oh, kill me. Oh, garbage. You know, that was great. You know, but he's combining a lot of the stuff that he's been building on from previous videos. His on-screen persona and going so far as to dye his hair to kind of have this persona of like the guru and stuff. But then, you know, I did find the video similarly repetitive as the Berserk one. You remember how I talk about how like he used the same cross dissolve into the same picture of Miura like 8 different times, and I counted, and I was like, I've seen that transition before. It kind of had the same thing where I was seeing he would take video of his screen in like a kind of a dramatic angle, and would have these metrics, and like it was the same picture of metrics like 8 times, and it's like, yeah, I mean, it wasn't it's not a big deal, but stuff like that very subtly leads it to being like, this is very repetitive. Does this need to be 2 hours? You know, I'm happy it's 2 hours because I think he has a lot to say here, and it's very exhaustive on the topic. But even the visual of interviewing the different YouTubers, it's a lot of going back to the same ones. And they're all presented in a similar way with the Discord call or like and like the subscriber count on the bottom and stuff. That gave it to a lot of visual repetitiveness, and it's, you know, a lot of people. I think he's tapped into a great audience that like doesn't mind that sort of thing, and it does of course shake things up with the 2 various animatics that he has. It's the, you know, that personal journey one, but there's one kind of way earlier that like. Describing YouTube is like throwing a message in a bottle into an ocean of other messages in a bottle. That sort of analogy. And describing that one in that very brief sequence that one animator did was really great. Although it did take me out of it of just like, oh, it's this one animatic, this one guide for that section of the video. Because I remember at the time I was like, ooh, this video is firing on all cylinders in terms of the visual, in terms of the editing and stuff. But then it slowed down a lot with the repetitive shots and filler shots, you know what I mean? I get it, it's really hard to talk about a video like this in a visually entertaining way. I don't envy you. I get that's really difficult. I don't think you fully were able to meet the moment here, and that's fine. That's a really hard moment to meet. I don't blame it. And it still came out to be a really great video that I found myself agreeing with a lot and would recommend other people to watch. But it's similar stuff. And so he had like in his pinned comments, like, I'm gonna go back to talking about weird stuff I like for 30 minutes. I'm like, good. Yeah, it's about time, you know. And I hope the bug it dies down for you even briefly, because it certainly hasn't for me. And it's a problem. But yeah, congratulations on such a massive project being done past you. And, oh, one more thing I was going to mention. I remember like him announcing on Twitter is like, I'm doing this thing with Twitch. I'm not going to tell you what it is until the video comes out. And so I tuned in for those streams, and it is kind of just streaming whatever he wanted. And it was fun. There was sometimes where he did like Short Hike. There was one stream where he did Shadow the Hedgehog and stuff like that. But he doesn't really mention any. It was just an experiment, and the experiment was kind of interesting, but like it doesn't really go all that. Doesn't go that far. Or it's like, okay, that was a thing, and I could tell he's implementing his storytelling techniques of his development stuff with that he got from Dell and the Space Jam video, where he's describing the video process, and that itself is the video. And I've described this in Berserk as well, I believe, or the Garfield one. I don't remember which one. I feel like I've discussed it. I've mentioned this before. And, like, it's okay. But, like, there was multiple instances of, like, he's describing the Jake Paul course, or the Ace Family course. And he's building and building. And I'm going to take this course. It doesn't exist. I can't even take the course. And it's like, well, why did you spend that time on the video, that time of the video describing it then? Like, I guess their introduction to the video, the course itself being a thing exists, I guess. But, like, what was valuable was when you actually were taking the YouTube creator course that one millionaire guy did. That was like $400-something. Like, that was the actual substantive part. Because, like, talking about that and the tips and your criticisms of it, as a YouTuber who's done this for a while with 1 million subscribers, you know what I mean? And from that, as a feedback type of thing, I think that was the most interesting part of the influencer course part of this video. But the rest of it felt like kind of like lost causes, or just like time sinks, that it was like a sunk cost fallacy that he had to mention in the video to be like, this is where things went wrong, or whatever. I decided to take 11. And like, okay, we're gonna go through each course. Not really. They're all the same 4, and he boils them down in this way. You know, there's multiple instances of that where, like, it seems that this is where the video is going, and it doesn't lead in any particular interesting way. So you kind of have to, like, take as much as you can from it and then move on to the next thing. It was a bit clunky in that way, I think, in the beginning. But again, I think the personal introspective stuff and interviewing other YouTubers was easily the thing that was worth coming to for this one, and very appreciative of it. Yeah, it was great. Ooh, lastly, Bruce Juice. I love this subject in general. So, how to search for anime staff, a beginner's guide. And I'm not taking too much out of this, although the amount of stuff that you talked about for AniDB in particular, I don't really use AniDB that much. So I was very surprised of like how many features it has. I was like, oh wow, that's great. But I had heard of anime. I use AnimeNewsNetwork. I think you gloss over how valuable Japanese Wikipedia can be, or even other language type of Wikipedias. There's like French Wikipedia that has certain definitions and certain information and stuff, because they have their own history with this type of with that media, right? If they do, stuff like that. I think that was a little glossed over, but other than that, like, no notes. And unfortunately, I can't say too much else about it, because it is just very right there. It was similar to the APLattanzi video I talked about earlier. It is just straight up facts and presented in a very kind, inclusive, easy to understand way. And shit, that's the one. You did it. Again, I'm sorry I can't give much more feedback than that. I can't think of too much else, to be honest with you. But yeah, it's lovely. It's really, really great job. I agree with all of it. And it's, again, hard for me to talk about, because it's like, yeah, I use these sorts of, it's sort of self-evident to me. I appreciated the blog shout-outs for Full Frontal and Sakuga blog. And it could have gone even further if you knew more blog stuff, like AnimeTudes' blog and stuff like that. But I liked the evolution of, like, this first stage. You could do this, and then you could do this, and then this is even better, and this is even better than that. And then the point of, like, yeah, it's one thing to just know that, like, wait a minute, I just know their names. I don't really know anything about these guys. Like, sure, there's a connection to Kill la Kill, but what does that matter? And leading that into your into blogs, and to comprehensively understand this stuff was excellent. I really appreciated that And that's a good way to have a resolution to the video. Isn't just like, yep, there's your guide. It's more like, it's not just understanding it's not just like learning about the staff. It's understanding the staff and what you're looking at, you know, and then taking something concrete away from it. I think it was a great point to end on. But yeah, very good video. I enjoyed it a lot. Yeah, that'll do it for this installment of AniTube Digest. Thank you very much for watching. You guys are great. You have a great week. Yo, peace.